This is a Guide Your Light network production, creating podcasts with purpose.
I think it's important for anybody listening. It's not can you build confidence. It's not can you make money. It's not can you learn to connect with yourself, trust yourself, love yourself. It's not can you have the life you dream of. It's will you? Will you go after it? Will you be courageous enough to step into that and go for it?
Welcome to the Things You Can't Unhear podcast. I'm your host, Maritza Barone. Get ready to hear moments that will help you to see the world differently and inspire you to become the happiest, healthiest, and kindest version of you. Erika Cramer, known as the Queen of Confidence, has transformed her life from trauma to triumph, becoming a confidence coach, leading speaker, and author. Her latest book, Becoming Magnetic, delves into the phases of magnetism, taking it that extra bit further than confidence and teaching us how to become memorable and unforgettable. If you are struggling with self-confidence, afraid to put yourself out there, want to learn new ways to overcome your limiting fears about being seen, then tune into this conversation and learn how to reinvent the most magnetic version of yourself. Before you go on to listen to this, maybe just pause quickly and hit subscribe to the show to help us grow and to show your support. And of course, let's keep the conversation going. Leave a comment on Spotify to let me know your feelings about your self-confidence and what you thought of this episode. Erika Cramer, welcome to the Things You Can't Unhear podcast.
Hello, Maritza. I'm so happy to be here with you, gorgeous.
And you're joining us from Melbourne today, decked out in your branded pink colors, looking absolutely fantastic.
I know, I'm just like, I can't wear blue. I wish I could. I actually love lime green, but it feels wrong, girl. It feels wrong.
Where did the pink theme come from? Why is that important for you?
So I used to hate pink. I hated it. I was like black, like my soul. And when I started doing the work on myself and healing and unraveling all of my things, I started to soften as you do. And when I built my business, I was a stylist. It was called the Queen of Curves. And so I was helping curvy women find clothing. Before that, I was a hairdresser. So I always worked in confidence, but the external confidence. And then as I moved into this world of Queen of Confidence vibes, I thought about women and the women I wanted to serve. And this color came to me in the shower, and it was like a blush pink. And I was like, this feels good. And I didn't want it for me. I felt like my women would like it. And so the more I played with it, we talked about it, and we did all this research on pink and the different Pantone colors. And it wasn't baby pink because we're not apologizing, right? And neon pink felt a bit like 21-year-old Erika with fake boobs and hair extensions. And I was like, that feels a bit too crazy. And so we found this nice blush pink. But now, because of Becoming Magnetic, we've moved into more hot pink. So there you go. I don't know.
And so do you wear pink at every publicity announcement? Everything's tied into pink. It's your brand.
It's my brand. And, I was talking, as I said to you before we started recording, my designer had me on her podcast today, and she was decked out in purple. And we just laughed because she's like, my clients say to me, do I have to go all in on my brand colors? And of course not. You don't have to. But I've decided to take a stand for it. And so when I go somewhere, the hat, the nails, the pink, it just is like, oh, that's Erika. Oh, I'm on her Instagram. Oh, I'm on her website. And so it's that, like, how can you be memorable as much as you can be? And so I'm trying to imprint that on the brand. And now I just can't wear blue.
It really does work. We're such visual beings, and it works at so much as a visual level for remembering and connecting. And it's also very easy to go shopping because you just find the bright and you find. So confidence, would you say that you've always had inside you and drawn out, or has it always been there for you?
Oh, I was the most lacking confidence I had zero confidence. I had zero magnetism. I was like, I was talking about electricity, right? And like, I feel like I am electric right now. And if someone has no, like there's nothing, I can just zap them and I just give you some of mine. But I was one of those people that had no confidence. I had the lowest self-worth. I thought I was damaged, broken, messed up, like cursed. And I would never have imagined old Erika seeing this Erika writing a book about confidence and magnetism. Like, she'd be like, this is a joke. I'm getting pranked. Like, no way. So I didn't grow up. I think as a kid, every kid, I have two boys and they are full of beans and energy and magnetism and they're amazing. And I do feel like we're born with this beautiful essence that then we learn how to fear. We learn how to worry about what people think from our culture, society, your gender, all that stuff. But I definitely lost my confidence probably at 5 years old when I was sexually abused. I feel like my lights turned out. I feel like my confidence was gone. I feel like I just became like just nothing. And so I was the least confident person, which is so interesting because now I'm like all about it.
And I think coming from that point of not having the confidence to then flipping the script
Yeah.
and saying this is doable. This is absolutely doable. I have so many people that come to me. I run a power of voice session and help people with presenting skills too. And I was very similar to you in the fact that I was incredibly shy, 16, 17, 18, going into my early 20s. And then you make a decision to do something about it, right? You get
Yeah.
out of that pattern and that comfort zone, and it is trainable in you
Mhm.
to pull out that confidence again. Tell
Yeah.
me how, because people are reaching out to me all the time, and I want to hear your technique because obviously you are the queen of it, and we need to learn from you.
Yeah, well, I think that it's really interesting you say that because I feel like it's an initiation, right? We need to struggle in order to not struggle. We need to have darkness if we need to know what light is. And so I'm really happy that I came through all of that horrific past and trauma. And like, it was really bad. My childhood was really horrible. I say when I speak on stage, like I should be a drug addict, addicted to drugs, homeless on the streets, in jail or dead. Like there's no reason for me to be the air quotes queen of confidence, loving my life in pink, happy and magnetic. Like I have every reason to be homeless on the streets right now. But because I wasn't that person and because I did the work that I did on myself, I have every right to then tell women, hey, you can do this. Like it's not can you do it, it's will you do it. There's so much evidence of people that have struggled that are now living a great life. It's usually more the people that have struggled living a great life because they've overcome it. And so when I speak to women about confidence, what I like to say is, let's go back to the root cause. What's the root word of confidence? Like, where did the word come from, the definition? And in Latin, the word is confidencia, which means trust. In Spanish, I speak Spanish, it's confianza. So in Spanish, we don't have a word for confidence. We would say, translated, I don't have enough trust. I just need to build trust. That's what we would say. We wouldn't say, I'm not confident. We would say, I don't trust myself. And so, if confidence is just your ability to trust yourself, I would say to the listeners, where are you breaking your trust? When you say yes, but you really meant no. When you snooze your alarm 7 times, I know it's a small thing, right? But Maritza, like these are things that actually impact us. So you're going to have a crappy day if you already broke trust with yourself in the morning. And so, the quickest thing that we can do to build confidence is have a look at your life. Where are you currently breaking trust with yourself? And what's one thing you could do like right now, like literally not snooze, like say no to watching your sister's kids instead of saying yes, like really owning that part. Because when you do that, you start to back yourself, you trust yourself, then you're happy to be put in scary situations because you know that you have your own back and you're going to be okay.
I love that you bring that up now because it's literally a conversation I had about an hour ago
Wow.
with a friend of mine who she said she's in her early 40s, and she said, as I'm getting older, I'm just realizing that no is a full sentence and I can say no. And she said, I'm getting there. She said, what I'm doing at the moment though is I say yes, and then just beforehand I pull out and I say no. So she said I end up saying no, but
Yeah,
to
it's
go
more
through this
painful.
terrible journey to get there and then letting people down. So it is a pathway to
Yeah,
learn when we can say no as part of what we
totally.
are accepting and who we are being in our true selves, right?
Yeah, yeah, we have to learn this. And the thing is, I'm a mom, like I said. And so, how do we teach our kids? How do we stop handing down this I'm not good enough, people pleasing, tall poppy, imposter syndrome? Like, I'm so bored. I say to women all the time, can we make something new up? Like, are you guys tired of this? How many generations? I know our moms, our grandmoms had to deal with this. And so, if we don't really draw a line in the sand now in 2025, in the era of information, when we have AI and all the things that we have, we really need to stop handing it down. And so I feel like it stops with us and it has to be, we have to be the example. And whether you have children or you have people that watch you, or you're a leader or you're a business owner or you have a presence on social media, people are watching us. And so how can we stop doing this? And so I feel like with confidence, so many women want confidence, men want confidence, everyone wants confidence. And I would just ask you, like, what are the ways in which you are breaking your trust right now? And do you feel like confidence is this end result? Like once I become confident, then I'll do all the scary stuff. When I become confident, then I will. It's like, no, confidence is a practice like yoga, like meditation. Girl, are we ever going to get to meditated? No, because I'll be meditating and my son opens the door and he starts yelling and screaming, or I meditate and then I step on a Lego and I'm like, oh my God, like, like there goes my Zen Buddha vibes. You know what I mean? So confidence is the same. You're going to feel amazing and then a bird's going to shit on your head. You're going to feel incredible and then someone's going to say you suck and troll you on Instagram. Like that's the practice, is you getting back up and going again, getting back up and going again. And you fall down enough, Maritza, where you realize, oh, I'm unbreakable. Oh, I'm supposed to fall. Oh, cool. I got like really hard knees because I can bounce back up. And the more that this happens, funnily enough, the more unbreakable, unmissable, confident, incredible, unstoppable it feels like you become. But trust me, I lack confidence all the time. But it feels like you become that. And so people watch you and they're like, whoa, it's not that Maritza's not falling or doesn't feel like crap sometimes. It's not that I don't fall and I don't suck. It's that I fall, but I bounce back up so fast, you will not see me on the ground. Because of course you're going to fall. It's like, get up faster, you know?
What do you think it is that's holding us back? Is it comparison? Are we comparing ourselves to other people that's also blocking a lot of our confidence? Because, you talk about social media and people
Yeah.
sharing videos and other people look at that and they're like, "Oh, I can't do that. That's too
Mhm.
much, or I can't do it that well."
Yeah. I feel like the number one thing that probably holds us back is the lack of relationship we have with ourselves. And what I mean by that is instead of sitting with yourself and looking at the stuff, all of us, the non-sexy stuff, the stuff that we need to unpack in therapy or coaching or in shamanic healings or whatever you're into, instead of sitting with that, we just push it to the side and we pretend that it's not going to run our lives. And we're like, that was the past, next, and we keep going. The problem is we have a really crappy filing system. So whatever happened in your past, you put it into the future and look for it to happen again. And you're fearful of it happening again. And because what you look for, you find, here it is, again, it's hitting you. So I love Wayne Dyer. He used to say, like, if you don't pass algebra, you got to take the class again. And so the lesson will come back over and over in different faces, same energy, if you don't pass the lesson. And so instead of hiding from your past or running away from what happened and pushing it to the side, what I believe we all need to do, and me included, and I continue to do, is commit to facing the stuff, facing the things that hold you down, the beliefs about yourself, the thoughts that you think, the stories that are not true about you, the money you make, the relationships, your body, your health, your wealth, all of the crappy limiting beliefs that all the Tony Robbins and your therapist is telling you about, and people just roll their eyes. Mindset is everything because you're working with this mind. And if it's limited and if it's repeating patterns, you're not going to get the results you want in your life. So I could give you the 17 tips on becoming confident, but it's look in the mirror, overcome her, the lady looking back at you, cry your tears, deal with your stuff, continue to work on yourself. And then you will see that every area of your life will open up because we can't escape ourselves, if that makes sense.
I did a course, I remember about 5 or 6 years ago, that really helped me through that process. And
Yeah.
what we did is we wrote a list of life defining moments. No matter how big or small, write a list of them. And it was
Mm,
amazing to see little moments in time that came up that made me realize, oh, okay, it was maybe that moment at school that crushed my confidence, that
mhm.
conversation that I had with that teacher, or that remark I got from someone when I did put myself out there that didn't feel very good, or whatever it is. And it made
Yeah.
me realize, just sitting there putting pen to paper and trying to list some life defining moments, small ones or big ones,
Huge.
that really helped me to identify those key things. And then I realized, God, that was a long time ago. Why am I still holding on to that? Surely I can
Yeah.
rewrite this story.
Yes. And the thing is, we don't think that that's the case. And I think we get a lot of eye rolls. I think COVID was good in the sense that people had to sit with their stuff and we couldn't literally escape ourselves. And so a lot of people's lives blew up, a lot of businesses blew up, a lot of relationships blew up because people couldn't run and hide. And like, I don't know what you think, but we live in such a distracted world where we have social media, internet, YouTube, like ping, 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 notifications everywhere. And so it's really easy to escape yourself. It's really easy to not sit with yourself and go, ooh, how do I feel right now? I don't feel good. Okay, what's going on for me? Okay, what happened? Like journaling or writing or scribbling on paper or just going for a walk on your own without headphones, without an ebook or audiobook, and just being with you, right? And so I feel like when we are forced, I say this thing that I feel like the universe like will knock, and then it will stab you, and then it will gash you, and you'll be bleeding out. And if you, if you're like, I can walk bleeding out, and I'm like, are you sure? And that was for me as well. So I'm like, I was bleeding out, and then I'm like, oh, I better attend to this wound that is literally like I have to sort it out. And so I didn't work on myself until I had to, and I believe many of us don't until we have to. But what a moment that is when you have a near death experience, or for me, like my husband passed away. And the year before that, I broke my back in a terrible car accident. I thought that was a wake up call. Like, that's a pretty big wake up call. Nope, didn't work. My husband had to die after all this traumatic stuff for me to go, okay, hi, what is happening in my life? And so I feel like many of us need these dramatic, traumatic moments to wake us up to our reality. And the bad thing is usually the best thing because it makes us go, okay, I'm paying attention now. All right, cool. I'm on planet Earth. What am I meant to do with my life? Like, am I happy? Am I fulfilled? And then it makes us ask all these hard hitting questions that are not surface level conversations. So I think my number one thing would be get to know who you are today. Sit with yourself, ask yourself powerful questions. I wrote so many questions in the Becoming Magnetic book, and women are like, why is this book making me cry? And I'm like, because I'm trying to have a therapy session with you. Like, I'm trying to ask you questions that you wouldn't dare ask yourself because you don't want to, air quotes, go there. And I'm like, let's go there. Like, let's feel these things so that we can overcome them and get the lessons from the difficult situations.
I know you work predominantly with women.
Yeah.
Do you feel like men are genetically more confident than women?
Well, I mean, the research does show that we lack more confidence than men, and that we struggle more in our brain with imposter syndrome than men. And I feel like that's a wiring situation of like women and nurture and nature, and how men are kind of the providers. But so much is shifting in the information era. Like, so much information is coming to us now where we should be able to take the information we know now and apply it and change, right? You would think, how many TEDx's are there now? How many talks are there? And so I feel like there's a really exciting thing happening with the information era where we're learning, but we're just consuming and binging and not actioning yet. And I'm hoping in the next 3 to 5 years, we move from consumption and awareness and reflection into action and shifting and changing, so that the generations after that can actually get that result. Because we know a lot. We, air quotes, have data, but we're not doing what we know. So it's just a bunch of information without practical knowledge. My husband reminds me all the time that men struggle with confidence as well. And I do think it is a thing. However, they're wired for like, if I don't make money, I'm not worth anything because I'm meant to be this providing man. So maybe they do lack, but they pretend they don't, and they just get on with the job. And we're much more feeling and emotional, or many women, not all women, are much more feeling and emotional. So we can't just put it on and pretend that it doesn't bother us. So I feel like we struggle a lot more. And I do speak to audiences with men, and men come up to me and they're like, oh my gosh, that's me. And I'm like, really? So they surprise me. It's, these men.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's great. I mean, I'm sure it can cross correlate to
course.
anyone, the information that you share. What do you think the difference between confidence and magnetism is?
Oh, so the first book was about confidence only. It was like this real tunnel vision into confidence. And when I wrote Becoming Magnetic and zoomed out of the whole person and the whole being, confidence is in there. But to me, magnetism is, you know how they say your vibe attracts your tribe, right? So we all have an energy about us, a feeling about us, a vibe about us. The book itself sounds very spiritual woo woo. It is not. It is super grounded and practical. But I believe every single one of us has a essence about us. And so when you walk into a room, how does it feel? How do you feel? And so when I talk about magnetism, it's alignment. It's an alignment of your being and who you are in this moment and your attraction. So if you are magnetizing and wanting to get a pay rise, then you show up on that boardroom table or show up to work, and you are adding value. You're speaking your truth. You're showing off what you have and what you can add value to, so people can see that and go, whoa, we need to help you. We need to give you a pay rise. You should be the head of the board, whatever. But what many of us do is we hold back inside, and we're like, we have things to say. We have thoughts and ideas, but we don't say them because we lack confidence. And I don't want people to think blah, 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 blah. And then who shows up at the boardroom? A lady who has nothing to say and adds no value. And then she wants a pay rise. And I'm like, you're not adding value. So instead of us attracting from lack, which many of us attract from lack and scarcity, I want us to be attracting from abundance. Be who you want to be already. Be confident now, even if you don't feel it. You know, attract from the place of what you desire. And so magnetism for me is What's your essence? What's your vibe? What's your flavor? How do you connect? If I walk down the street and bump into your energy bubble, Maritza, is it like, beep, beep, beep? I'm sure it would be, versus some people walk around and they're not even plugged in. It's like, you get no energy back from them. And I think magnetism is about connection. It's about connection and taking responsibility for the energy you bring into spaces and what you attract into your life and what you repel, by the way. Repelling is very important.
Well, the beautiful compliment you gave to me when we started was you've got a beautiful energy about you. And that is a great compliment. Thank you so much. But it's true. It's, if I'm walking around with my head down and speaking quietly and not projecting my voice and not smiling. I think smiling is a big one. Putting my shoulders back. There's so many little things that can change the energy. Asking questions, listening to responses. There's just things that, little things that once you learn them, you can just slowly filter them into changing your behaviors.
Yes. And this is the work that you do as well when you're teaching people about speaking, right? And presenting. It's like, it's so funny. They're micro skills. Like there's micro skills to confidence, micro skills to charisma. People think charisma is like, oh, that's just a charismatic person. No. What makes them charismatic? Let's break it down. They have a warm presence. What is warm? They're open. They're smiling. Their eyes are looking at you. They have eye contact. They might move with their hands. They know when to pause. They're emotionally intelligent. They're listening and interested in you. They're more interested in you than they want to be interesting. Charismatic people know they're humble. There's humility, right? There's certain ways of body language, smiling. Like these are tiny micro skills that if you taught someone who was closed off, quiet, shy, it completely changes the game. In the book, I have a story about a lady named Nina who worked with me, and she is not, one of the questions I keep getting, Maritza, on the book tour is like, do I have to be like extroverted like you and wear like sequins and be loud? And I'm like, no, you don't have to be like me to be magnetic. That's a joke. Like some of the most magnetic people are really quiet and sexy and mysterious, But Nina is nothing like me. She gets sweaty and scared when she speaks in front of people, like most everyday people would. Like most people would be scared to speak in front of people. It's kind of like a normal response unless you've been trained or you know how to do it. So she gets nervous, she gets scared. But what happened for her was she started going out to cafes and just walking around as her alter ego, which is chapter 7. And it's about building this future version of you. So she would walk around as her future version of her. And someone would say to her, hi. And she'd be like, oh, I love your necklace. The necklace is beautiful with the pearls. It looks so good on you. She would just compliment someone and instantly they would open up. She would open up. And it was this beautiful connection that just happened from a compliment, from her deciding not to be shy and looking down and actually addressing people as she would want to be addressed back. And I can't tell you, she like found love. She's having a baby. Like her whole life changed when she was this shell of a person, and she's not an extrovert. She's still very introverted. So it works for all of us if we're willing to, like you said, do the micro skills, step into it. Little steps make all the difference.
That makes me think of my husband's been in sales his whole life. And he said to me, people love to talk about themselves, always ask people questions. And I said, I love that. They love to talk about themselves. They're going to remember that when you give them an opportunity to be heard or seen, people remember that and they love that. And you've used my name several times in this. Maritza, like that is, again, you see me, you acknowledge me as a person. It's not just another interview that you've turned up for. It's that acknowledgement, which is special. But you did say something else. And, we don't all want to create carbon copies. 15 Erikas. You don't want every person to read your book to be you. We want people to be authentic to themselves. Someone voice noted me the other day, and I want to put this to you actually and see how you would answer it. But she said, hey, I want you to help me with some presentation skills. I'm running these beautiful, successful events, but I'm not, I'm just feeling I'm not confident enough. I feel like my confidence needs a boost. But she said, I really want to make sure that I don't want you to just teach me speaking skills. I'd love you to I just want you to draw out the confidence from me rather than, take away the way that I naturally speak. That needs to say, I just need to feel more confident. Help me answer this.
Oh gosh. I'm like therapy. So the beautiful thing is I'm obsessed with coaching and I'm currently getting my bachelor's in psychotherapy. And it's just giving me these superpowers, Maritza, just like pew pew. So I would say to her, what is the thing that's stopping you from from drawing out your confidence? What is the thing that's stopping you? And then she might be like, oh, some lie about, oh, I'm a new mom and now I feel whatever. People just make up the surface, like bottom level distraction. And then I keep asking questions. So I would just say to her, what's stopping you from that? Why? And then what are you worried about? And then what are you worried about? And then she'll say, I just don't want everyone to think that I'm stupid, or I just don't want to look silly, or I just don't want to be rejected, or whatever. And then I bring it back to, when's the first time you felt like that? And then people start crying and they're like, oh
Yeah.
my God, when I was 7 years old, I got up for SRC at school and nobody picked me and I was rejected. And then I made that mean. And then for my whole life, I've walked around seeking validation, trying to make my dad proud of me, whatever. And it's this raveled up, always any problem we have now, this lady's problem. I really try with my clients to make sure that they don't think I'm going to give them anything. It's like, you got to come to the table, you got to be coachable, you got to be workable, but it's so hard to do this work. And the work that you do, it's like putting yourself out there, wanting to learn, wanting to be an empty cup. That's important to me. I go to uni, I'm an empty cup. I don't go to uni and go, I got a TEDx and I'm an award winning and I for a decade have helped. I sit at uni like a newborn baby and I'm like, I know nothing, pour into me. And what I like, I keep, and what I don't like, I can pour back out. But imagine us listening to your show, which you do an amazing job on your podcast, interviewing people and asking questions, and the listeners coming going, I already know that. Yep. Yeah, whatever. You're not going to learn anything. You're not going to take anything away. So I think being an empty cup, especially when they're trying to work with you, is beautiful because they can take everything you have to offer them. And what they don't like, they can pour out. But it's very hard to work with someone who thinks they have everything sorted and they don't want to change anything, but they have an issue over here. It's like, okay, that's hard.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah.
Tell me about some success. I want to hear a story, a success story that you've worked with within your coaching and
Oh gosh.
people who follow
Yeah.
you.
So
Someone who's
many.
come from like that, you've just been so amazed they've come to you as
Yeah.
this person and left as a completely different version of themselves.
Well, I won't spoiler alert Nina, but Nina's in the book Becoming Magnetic. She's weaved through the 5 phases, her whole story. And so many people have seen themselves in Nina's story. So she's one who's not like me at all whatsoever. I've had clients in my programs for 6 years. And yesterday I had a little book signing here because I'm still on my book tour. And one of my clients came and she had a guy with her. And this client has been with me since I launched in 2018, my program. And she was living at home. She's an Italian girl living at home with her family, had very strict things about, her and the way that she is and the way that she lives and the people that she dates. Obviously came from her family and her strict Italian family. And it was just a lot of rigidness and control. And so when you have this rigidity and control, you can't create anything because you're gripping onto stuff. And so it feels hard to have a relationship, be successful, work. And she worked in a job she really hated for a very long time. Since us working together, she's come to retreat. She's done one-on-one. She's done every service basically that we offer me and my husband, she's done. And I saw her yesterday. And if I could only tell you that how I could explain her, she felt like a feather. Like she felt like a feather. She was light and airy. She found someone. She's running her own business. She quit that job. She's moved out. She's found love. She's just like, my life is amazing. And she just felt like a feather. And when I met her, she was like, she was holding on to rocks. She was holding on to her dad's stuff, her mom's stuff, her culture stuff. As an Italian woman, her parents were immigrants and she just really lacked and struggled to find relationships. And there was a lot of rigidity. I guess you would say control freak, high strung. And yesterday it was like, just this air just flow through her. And it was quite amazing to see because she never thought that she would find love. She never thought that she would quit her job that she'd been at for years because her family wanted her to work there. And it was amazing to see her, but what she needed to move through was not being the good girl, the good daughter. And so many of us have that good girl, good daughter. It's like, tell your parents to F off, like move away from the culture, like decide to be who you want to be. And so she had to let go of a lot and heal a lot in order to let love back into her life. And so, yeah, she's one of many. There's been many women that have cleared debt or had beautiful relationships, moved across overseas, and all of these women have joined programs. So I haven't worked solely with them one-on-one in my practice. It's been through my programs and community because I feel like we heal in community. And I was a foster kid, so I love big groups of people that you don't know. Like to me, I just feel like we think we're alone in our poor little struggles. And then you sit next to another woman and you're like, oh, you too? and another woman, oh, you too. And I feel like we can heal so much better when we're in a safe community where we feel seen and heard.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why, telling our story is so important, isn't it?
Oh, people feel seen in your story. When you share all your story about how you lacked, and then now you teach people how to present, like they're like, what? Not only do they feel safe with you, but they feel like you get them and you understand them. And I think that's why a lot of people stay away from therapy. And I'll say this, even though I'm going to school for therapy, I feel like therapists really need to soften. Therapists need to self-disclose and say, hey, this is what I struggle with too. So you're not alone. Because I don't think anyone feels like they're getting analytically, you know, they're analyzed or they're judged. They want to feel like, oh, you understand me, Maritza? You too? Me too. Oh, Erika, you too? Oh, and then people feel like they can unbutton their pants a bit near you and they can relate to you more. And that's such a great space for transformation as well, I believe.
Yes, totally. Now tell me about this book tour you're on. Sounds like a lot of fun. Where have you been? Where are you going?
Oh, I'm so sad I didn't get to see you in person and
I
squeeze your
know.
nice energy. Oh, we would have made like great fireworks, girl. So I've been everywhere. Actually, we did Melbourne. We launched in Melbourne, which was awesome. And then Gold Coast, Brisbane, Adelaide. I'm going to Perth. And then in May, we're going to the United States because the book is coming out in America. So I can't wait to do that because
Incredible.
I know. I'm like, this is going to be so much fun. And I really love, I think part of knowing who you are and how you work. I say to my husband, like, I love that. Like everyone's watching me. They're like, are you okay? You got to make sure you slow down and make sure you rest. But actually for me as a generator, it's really good for me to be out with people and meeting people and doing things because it just creates more electricity for me. I just feel like when I'm out with my people doing things, it's really good for my business. I feel like opportunities come because I'm not looking for them. You know, when you're like, if somebody's listening and they're single, when you're out dating, going on dates, Tindering, whatever you're doing, you're having fun. You're not like, where's my partner? Where's my dream love? You know, you're just like not falling in love with the outcome. You're just enjoying yourself. All of a sudden, here comes someone. Here comes, and so it feels like that. It's been really nice to meet people and to see people actually reading the book and holding the book and hear the stories. I love it. I love meeting people in real life. It's my jam. Very extroverted.
It's part of knowing yourself too, isn't it? Is that
Yeah.
process? Is like,
Yes.
this is what I enjoy doing. I
Yes.
enjoy energy. I enjoy people around me.
Yes.
And other people might not be that way
Totally.
inclined and know themselves in that way. I am definitely, I get my energy from people, but then I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, now I need a minute just to
Nice.
recharge.
Yes. A little bit, and then I need to reach out. My husband's
Yeah.
just like an hour, and then he's like goodbye forever. He's
Yeah.
hermit crab. But imagine I would be so sad if I was married to someone like me. So it's kind of nice that he's that way. It's so funny.
What's the book writing process like for you? Is it an enjoyable process? Does it
I
come,
hate it.
does it flow?
I
I had
hate
a
it.
feeling you were going to say that.
Hate it so much. First of all, I have to take my nails off, and that always sucks. But really, I'm a speaker. I stand. I hate sitting. I wrote the book standing. I talked the book. I spoke the book, and it's really tricky because then you have to transcribe. I had 121,000 words, and they were like, that's too much. It's meant to be 75,000. That's a lot of words that I had to hack into and cut. And so it's really hard for me, the writing process. I like the idea and the speaking and the getting into the flow. And I transcribed a lot of my podcasts for my first book, which was really helpful, which was like, oh, that's cool. We get through some chapters that way. And I sitting down and tapping away. I hate it, hate going away by myself to write. It feels too much like writing feels like delete and forever. And you have to, and I don't want to do that. I just want to mess up and sneeze and cough and keep going like blah, you know? So that was really tricky. But the selling of the book, the touring of the book, the promotion, the PR, the publicity, the sales, like I think I would love your husband because I love sales. And I think a lot of authors hate that part. Like they're like, I don't want to do any of that. Like I want to,
That's right.
you know?
It's the flip side of it. That
Yeah,
most authors are probably like, no, I'm here for the story. I'm here to
that's
share
it.
wisdom.
Yeah, yeah. Don't ask me anything. Like I'm going into the cave and I probably speak more than I write. So I think they say a lot if you want to write a book to make sure you write weekly. And I do on my newsletter with my people on my email list, but I speak all of it. I end up speaking it. The shower wisdom comes. And then you're like, oh, I have so many things to share where I just sitting down and writing feels so, I don't know, compacting and rigid for me. I have to like stand and let the channel be clear.
It's
Yeah.
interesting. I mean, now we've got tools that help us transcribe so much more, and there's business
So good.
book coaches too that can really draw it out of you through
Oh
speech and
yeah,
pull it all
yeah.
together, which is great.
It's nice to do that. I think my first book I worked with Sarah, and she was an editor. She's so funny. She's like, "So I'm not gonna ghostwrite this book, right?" I was like, "Girl, no, you're a white lady from Queensland. I'm a Puerto Rican that lives in Australia. We're not doing that, Sarah." She was like, "Okay, I thought so." I was like, "No, we're gonna work together. We're gonna make music." And I had never done that before, Maritza. I'd never sat with someone and she just interviewed me and we cried and then we pulled podcasts and then we transcribed and then she wrote something and I was like, "No." And then she's like, "Oh, I get you." It was like having a real person chat GPT, like being like,
Absolutely
"No,
fascinating
Sarah."
brain to
Yeah.
be able to bring that
So
together like
good.
that.
And then I feel like she wrote that book with me. I feel like we made a baby, we made music. It was a beautiful piece of art. I felt like kind of like when Alicia Keys collaborates with another artist, like how that must feel that it is yours, but it's also theirs. And how gorgeous to connect in that way. And this book, I didn't have that. My husband was my editor. And it was very hard during 2024 when my mom got sick. And it was just it was a harder time to write a book. So I give it up to anybody who aspires to do it or ends up doing it because it is really difficult if you do write your own book and you sit there and you pour into that book. It's a massive thing to do.
Well, congratulations, because you've done it a few times now, and you
Psychopath.
seem to be. Hopefully, it's getting easier every time around. But
Oh,
yeah, congratulations on everything that you've pulled together. You've obviously experienced a lot of difficult moments in your life, and you've talked about a few of them throughout this conversation and touched on them very lightly. But I would love to ask you one of the biggest things you can't unhear moments that you've had in your life that really probably changed you the most.
yeah. I think the number one thing that I would say to anyone, and I put it in my book because I was like, wow, this is so big, is a quote that says, "How you do one thing is how you do everything." And I really love that. It's such a reminder for me. I can't unhear that. It's like, ooh, if I sit at the back of the room, I'm sitting at the back of my life in every area. If I want to be right, then I want to be right everywhere. And I think that that really shaped not only the way I show up in my life now, but every moment, everything that I do, I'm like consistent, who you're going to be. It raises you to such a high standard of who you desire to be. And that's not anyone else giving you that. That's self generated and self accountability wise. And it's like, wow, that changed my life. So powerful. And then the second thing was Byron Katie's 4 questions. So Byron Katie is a woman who wrote a book called Loving What Is. And she warped my mind. She's kind of like Eckhart Tolle says that she's the how in his work. So Eckhart Tolle talks about all these crazy spiritual, beautiful things. And he almost seems like, is he a real person? Because he's so amazing. But then Byron Katie came out and created these 4 questions that Tony Robbins uses, Harmosi's use, everybody uses her 4 questions. And it's literally called inquiry of the mind. So instead of believing everything you think, you ask yourself, is it true? Can I know for sure that it's true? How do I react? Who do I become when I believe that thought? And then who would I be without the thought? And that to me is just like, it's easy. I teach my kids. My son was having anxiety with homework. We sit down, we journal that. And he got to see that it wasn't true. Who he becomes is he bites his nails, he gets nervous. Who is he without the thought? He's free, he's happy, he's not worried. Whoa, which one do you want to choose? And he's like, oh, I'm choosing that all day, every day. And I'm like, amazing. And so I think when you can question the things you think instead of just blindly believe every thought that tries to break into your mind and become the security guard of your mind, that's such a gift that I'm so grateful for. Um, and then finally, I would say radical responsibility. So knowing that what happened to you in your past is not your fault. However, as a grown ass woman or a grown ass man, it is your responsibility to work on it because it's your problem. My sexual abuse will become my problem. Was not my fault, but it's my responsibility to work on that, or else I'm going to never trust men, or else I'm going to blah, blah, blah. And so I think radical responsibility, which is very uncomfortable and not fun to do, is an amazing tool that we can all step into. And when we do, we get to be the ones who run the show in our lives.
Wow, they are really powerful statements. And how you doing one thing is how you do everything is something that I remembered straight away. I use it on my kids all the time. But those 4 questions that you posed, are super important. And I heard that saying once, so, the quality of your life depends on the quality of the questions that you ask.
Tony.
And it's those questions that you're asking yourself that can be so instrumental in your internal happiness.
Yes. And can I say the last one? This is mine, but I like it for women especially. And I end most of my keynotes with this question. And I say to the audience, it's not can you do it? It's will you do it? And so as we wrap this, I think it's important for anybody listening. It's not can you build confidence? It's not can you make money? It's not can you learn to connect with yourself, trust yourself, love yourself? It's not can you have the life you dream of? It's will you? Will you go after it? Will you be courageous enough to step into that and go for it? Because other people have, and there's evidence of that. And so I would say to you, do it because you can, and it's your birthright.
I love that. Look, so many inspirational quotes right then, and very Tony Robbins-esque, I felt right there, pull into what you were talking about. Thank you, Erika, for everything that you shared today. And obviously all the work that you're doing that is helping so many people bring their true essence out and be themselves and, live in their body in the most happiest way and be confident in it as well.
Yes.
Thank you
you,
so
Melissa,
much
for having me. And thank you for doing the work you do as well. It's freaking needed, girl.
Thanks for listening to the show. What did you think? And what did you feel? Let us know by leaving me a message on the Things You Can't Unhear Instagram community page. And if you can, give us some ratings love on your favourite listening platform.